We traveled to Lake Victoria, which is found in East Africa, part of it in Kenya, Nyanza province. It is the second largest freshwater lake in the world and the largest in Africa. It has been here for about 400,000 years and has a surface area of approximately 60,000 kilometers square. Most of its water comes from direct rainfall. More comes from rivers and thousands of streams. Lake Victoria is very deep and a home to many islands. It is also one of the lakes where it is possible to watch the sunset over water without being at the coast. It is a beauty in Africa whose adventures you can never exhaust. The lake is busy with boats and water buses ferrying fishermen, businessmen and women, and tourists from one side of the lake to another. The lake offers several activities, and these are fishing, hiking, bird watching, boat riding, sports fishing, swimming, washing and bathing. A large part of the lake, especially further from the shores, has zero visibility. The Winam Gulf, which is an extension of Lake Victoria into the western Kenya, is most polluted. The Kisumu port is one of the ports in Lake Victoria that offers organized shipping services on the lake. Unlike the Winam Gulf, this side of the lake, Mbita, was cleaner and clearer. It was my first time to see such a large mass of water and my first time to see black sand. Every time anyone mentioned the hyacinth, I pictured a cruel invasive plant that had engulfed the whole of Lake Victoria, but I realized that this side of the lake hardly had any. The very few that floated around were beautiful. As Ken looked for fish, I watched the waves sparkle in the sun as they rolled towards the shore. Ken saw some fish in the lake, but I could not see any from where I was standing. I expected the water to toss some fish to the shore, but none came. Ken has been to Nyanza several times, so he was not afraid of stepping into the water that day. Most people have phobias because they were not exposed to certain things during their childhood. I am one of them. Ken has been very patient with me, especially during adventures. We take one step at a time, and slowly I am overcoming some of my fears. I still have a long way to go though. On the first day of our visit to Lake Victoria, I knew I was not going to step into the water. I had always imagined that the water and their waves are always out to get people who do not know how to swim. Even after Ken stepped into the water, I did not. It had rained for several days, so the lake was swollen at that time. The ride on Lake Victoria was joyous. The Waterbus is the best mode of transport, but if you visit the lake for adventure, if you can afford it, a private boat is the best. During the violent storms, the Waterbus is the safest. Another advantage is if there are wild animals in the lake, they will rarely attack the Waterbus. If the boat is strong, not overloaded, the weather right, and with expert coxswains, you will be safe. The previous day, that is the day before we took the ride, we had visited Rusinga Island. We walked for about 6 hours. When we arrived back at the cottage, I decided to change to more comfortable attire. When I joined Ken at the dinner table, he had already decided that we would take a boat to Takawiri. He had also planned to fish in the middle of the lake. I was not excited about it because I have always thought water is dangerous. I also thought the boats were made of light wood, which made me very uncomfortable. And then there was the many stories of people losing their lives in Lake Victoria, and the fact that we would be on the water for about 5 hours made me feel even worse. Water can be scary if you do not know how to swim, and more scary if it is your first time on water. There are many islands on Lake Victoria, but we planned to visit only 3, the Bird Island included. I had never known Bird Islands existed before that. On the morning of the ride, I did not want to get up. The fatigue of the previous day had not worn off. We were supposed to start the journey at 8:30 in the morning after the lake calms down and come back at 3 before the high tide. We were late, as usual. We left at a few minutes to 10. When I saw the 2 Coxswains, who are very young, I thought, here we go. We are in charge of our lives now, every man for himself. I had not thought much about the boat tipping over until we were directed to sit at specific positions so as to balance the boat. This did not help my fear at all. I was so worried that I did not notice that the boat was made of steel until Ken pointed it out and assured me that it was safe. Our journey to Bird Island started. The waters were calm. I wore the life jacket but still kept asking if it would help me float with my heavy weight. I tried to console myself that the Coxswains were good swimmers because this was their home and Ken rarely panics, so I had a chance to survive if anything happened. The clouds floated beautifully in the sky. The different shapes of the clouds added to the spectacle of the adventure. As we approached the Bird Island, locally known as Mbasa, the visibility of the water was nil. I could not tell if there was fish or not. The clouds became dark and I knew they were announcing the coming of the rain. I maintained a smiling face, but deep inside I was very scared. I thought, like in the movies, the boat might fill with water and sink. I wondered if there was anything to drain the water out of the boat. Then I saw a plastic container and I was relieved. When we arrived at the bird island, I thought we were going to get off the boat and take a walk on the island. I was not willing to do so because the island was thick with trees and looked like a home to several wild animals like snakes, porcupines, monitor lizards, and rhinos. The water near the island also reminded me of hippos.
Alafu zile ni nini zimeachwa pale?
When I learned that we were not going to get off the boat at Bird Island, I smiled. A few minutes after leaving the island, it rained. I was very grateful the rain was light and very little of it collected in the boat. We were also lucky because Ken had carried our raincoats, something that I had not thought about. I did not take any footage while it rained because I was afraid my phone would be wet. A few minutes later, we left the part of the lake that was raining and headed towards Takawiri. Soon the sky was clear and the sun shone. There is nothing that has given me so much joy as the Bird Island. The journey to Takawiri usually takes 2.5 hours, but ours was more than 3. This is because we visited Bird Island and were on the lake for adventure. The reason why we were advised to leave Takawiri early was to beat the high tide. Instead of leaving Takawiri at around 1, we left at 3. The tide was very high. We had to reduce the speed of the boat and set sail. I felt like the waves were about to throw us off the boat. I was a little nauseated and was not able to film anything, but Ken did.
A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do.
It is amazing how other boats seem to just sail smoothly and fast, and everybody in them seemed to have gotten used to the waves. I also realized the wood used to make these boats was strong and there was no danger in riding in them. Accidents are just bad luck.
Bridge iko pale, ukiangalia closely utaiona. So tunaenda hivi.
The two young Coxswains and guides were very careful and polite. It was one of the reasons I was able to complete the more than 6-hour journey without regret. If I was asked to go for a boat ride again on Lake Victoria with the same people, I would gladly.
feel it wrapped around your soul with no control. You can't breathe.